Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt. Anything in the center of your mind, in the center of your thought process, in the center of your being, in your belly, from your belly to your mouth, from your belly button to your mouth. Anything that entered inside of your stomach, and all the seeds of Satan that's been sown throughout the week within your consciousness, that one has not even attained the knowledge and perception of the wisdom and understanding to cast it down and cast it down to your feet. Bring everything in your mind and your inner man and your inner thoughts and your inner being to balance within yourself. He said, with perfect mazun, with perfect ephah, with perfect ba within oneself. For today is the day of freedom. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as another day, as a gift. How you say, as a gift to understand. He say, be not within our inner man, our inner being, of his infinite knowledge and understanding, and the sum of his knowledge. For no man can count even the sands of the sea, or even his infinite understanding. For though we look at ourselves as a person that's in his image and likeness, a human being, Adam, but yet Yahuwah Elohim sits above Adam. He sits above him in his throne, sits higher than us, the higher official who governs and holds shafat or mishpat in the midst of the Elohims, in the midst of the gods. So as we move forward in the image and likeness of Yahuwah Elohim, not only in his image and likeness, but we acknowledge with our tongue his son Yahushua Mashiach. Why? Because in our inner being, in our inner thoughts, in our inner being, he dwells. And if he dwells inside of you, and if he dwells inside of your heart, you will acknowledge the one who made all of all of the mountains and streams of the earth, all the rivers and streams and all of the creatures of the earth, the one who formed and shaped the lamb, the one who formed and shaped the goat and the sheep, the one who gives life and understanding to the Natsar, the eagles, and who gives life and understanding to the oaf and the behemoth. You will acknowledge the one who made all the har and the har of the earth, and all the tree and the rivers and streams, and by the foundation of his debar, he formed the universe. For as we move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, samuna, self-control, but we will in no wise within ourselves clear ourselves and do partiality and judgment within ourselves. For that is judgment before judgment, before we all give an account for every deed and every word and every idle thought that we've thought against Yahuwah Elohim and his debar, and against his word, and the things we sin even with our own bodies. Right, so we look at this the 10th day of the Abyb. So we look at the Yod, you look at the 10th day of the Aleph. The Yod means hand, right? You look at our hand, that's things we grab with, we work with, we do things. Open right hand, that's something that's an invitation, an open right hand to give, right? We give things with our hand, we receive things with our hand, right? All these are a part of our hand, our Yod, our right hand, right? We make agreements with our right hand, we shake with our right hand, attainment, we attain things, we do actions with our right hand, we give blessings, right? People say stretch out your hand, your right hand, right? All these are part of it. Arm, right? We can extend our arm and hold somebody up, and they can hold a wife and Isha, a husband, by the arm, right? We can do this all with our right hand. We work, right? We do things with our hands. We do deeds with our hands. Our Yah, we worship. We lift our hands, our Nu Anuf. When we wave our sheaf, we use it with our hands. They are branches, and it also means manhood. Right? You talk about manhood. It also means what? Male sex organ. Right? You say, why is that? Because when a male plants a seed into the ground, what happens? You create what? Children. Right? Just like in the feminine earth, you got the masculine and the feminine. You got the feminine earth, you take a seed, a masculine seed, the string, and you put it in the ground, and you produce children. You produce strong trees that bear fruit. Some female, some male. Some male trees, some female trees. Some bear fruit, some are male trees. But at the same time, just like you plant cucumbers and you have like the male flowers at the bottom, and then you have the female at the top, just like the virgin on the top. Right? All this is all part of the constructs of Yahuwah's infinite understanding. But then you got power. You say power. What do you mean power? who was mighty right hand? He brought us out of misery. He said he had a mighty right hand. It's power. As a matter of fact, he said he who holds the whole Kima Quetzal, the Orion, he even moved Oranos with his right hand. As a matter of fact, he even moves the very Quetzal, the Kima, the 7 stars. He holds them in his right hand. Right. So we look at the examples. Right. So we see the Yod, right? You got the Yod, right? That's the ancient way. Then you got the Yod. These are all different forms of how they're written. And of course, there are other ones too. There are other ones as well. And through those written invitations, those written, understandings of it, then one starts to understand a lot more. So we look at the 10th day. We look at the 10th day of this month. But then when you look at the Yod, then you start to see why. Let's see. Moving forward, this is the Dead Sea Scrolls, 4Q286, fragment 1, column 2. Your honored seat and your glorious footstool is your residence, heights, right? Just like he above the highest Shamayim, above the 7 Shamayim, above the 13th, all above all gods. And your Kudash dwelling place and your glorious chariots. He said his chariots, right? It says his chariots. Marker not working. It says his chariots, right? It says their caribs and their afanim and all their counsel. It says the fiery foundations. It says bright flames, horrific splendor, luminous ray, and wonderful luminaries. Honor and majesty and sublime kudash counsel. Splendorous place. It says splendorous place, beautiful heights, wonders and majesty, gathering places of forces, majesty of praise, and greatness of fears and healing. Look at all that. His honored seat, where he sits at. He said, look at all of that that encompasses him. It also means what? It says wondrous works. Right? It says wondrous works, foundations of wisdom and structure of knowledge and the source of all understanding. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's his throne. Kudash counsel and true foundation. And get what it says? Store of intelligence. Remember he breathed in Adam. He said his neshama, his creative intellect. It says store of intelligence. It says from the sons of justice, the judgment, and the resonance of uprightness, great and mercies, and good kindness. One of the fruits of the Ruach. Kindness, love, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, amun. Right? It says, and guess what it says? And true mercies, and eternal kindness, and wonderful mysteries in these Kudash weeks. Right? We get ready moving toward Pesach, and then Kagmata, and then we count 7 weeks to get to Kag Shavuot. It says Kudash weeks in their measure, and the signs or the oath of the months, Kudash, and it says in their stations, and the glorious festivals in their appointed times. That's what we're doing. Why do you say that? And the Shabbats of the earth and their divisions, it says fixed times and release, a perpetual release of light and darkness. Amazing. All this takes place. He says, your honored seat and glorious footstool is your residence. He said, where your residence at? He said, where you dwell at? Yahuwah said, Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool. It says he's perpetually releasing light and darkness. That's why it was darkness over the land in Mizraim when we left out. That's why it was darkness for 3 days. But Yasharal had light. Right, so this is Bereshit chapter 1, verse 1. It says, in the beginning, right? Bereshit. Elohim created the Shamayim in the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. Why? Because with his glorious throne, perpetual light and darkness. Notice how you go light and darkness, light and darkness, light and darkness. So we know we go, verse 2. And the Ruach of Elohim was hovering on the face of the water, so it was moving, Ruach. And Elohim said, let there be order. Because this continual light and darkness have come from his throne, his seat of majesty. And it says, and there was light. And Elohim saw that the light was good. It was really good. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. Because remember, what comes from his glorious throne? Good. That's why he says every single day, from the first day to the seventh day, it was Te'u, 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 Meo Te'u. And it says, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness. He separated light from darkness. It's perpetually, continually. He's always doing that. He's separating light from darkness. You may be light one day, and then you become darkness. He separates you. Then you be light, darkness one day, you become light. He said, okay, I'll move you. It all depends on what you do. It's depending on your deeds you do with your hands. That's all it says. The response is, Elohim called the light or Yum, in the darkness he called night. And there was evening, Abyb, and there was morning, first day. So that's how we learned it. Evening, Abyb, that's darkness, and then there was morning, day. That's how we learned darkness and light. We learned it from the first day. That's how light and darkness is determined. I say even scientists know this. Quantum physics professors know this. People who, I say, probably never even looked at Torah knew this. We knew this when we woke up in the morning and we saw it. When we wake up in the morning, a car, and we see the sun rise and it's dark. If you get up that early, he said, are you still asleep? But he said, Barak as he found so awake. Right? So this is right. So you got the first, so you got Ba'ith, you got Bereshith, Bara Elohim At Hashemayim At Ha'adas, right? So we know that's the beginning of the creation of the Elohims and the gods, of the Shemayims and the earth. That's literally what it is. Bereshith, the house. Reshith, the beginning. The creation of the gods. The signs and the Shemayims, these are gods and the Shemayims, and in the earth. As above, so below. And then you have what? Skipping over, going down to the bottom, so that's all I want. And it says, Ukra Elohim, going to the last, Abyb. And it says right here, Bakar, Yum. It says, Abyb, Bakar, Yum, Akar. It's the first day. They say Abyb. You notice what you got for Abyb. You know that word we like? Iron. They put an iron, there's an iron for evening. You gotta see. You gotta be able to see in the dark. If you can't see in the dark, then guess what? You got a problem. He said, I gotta be able to see in the dark. Yeah. Evening, morning. That's why he said it come from his throne, perpetual light and darkness. That's why it's an iron on evening. Why? Because you have to be able to see in the dark. You have to. Mashali, because we know we went over this many times. Every single word, I think I believe, yeah, every word. But and at the same time, in between light and darkness, he separated light from darkness, or Badal, Bane, Ha'or, right? Because we know he separated light from darkness in the midst. But we know iron is what? To see. You got to be able to see in the dark. This Mashali 4 and 7. The beginning of wisdom, Hakmah, is this. Get wisdom, or Hakmah, we got to change that. And whatever you get insight. He said, get insight. Why? That verse is Rashid. Right? That's the beginning. Right? That's the beginning. Hakma, Kina, right? This is the beginning of Hakma. He says Ubakal, right? And then what? He said, get what? Insight. Get insight. And what it really means, Bina. Get understanding. Get understanding of it. Why? Because you gotta be able to see in the dark. Because coming from his throne in majesty, where he sits at, it's perpetual light and darkness. And you gotta be able to see. It's perpetual, right? It's Bereshit chapter 1, 26 through 31. And then Yahuwah Elohim said, let us make Adam in our image, Salam, and after our Darmut. And let them have dominion or radah over the fish, that's the god of the sea, of the Yam, and over the birds of the Shamayim, and over the livestock, and over all the Adats, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So Yahuwah Elohim created Adam in his own image. In the image of Yahuwah, he created him. Male, Zakar, and female, Nakubah. He created, or bara, them. He created. Just like he created, we just read bara. Bereshit, it's in there. Bara. He created. And you know what comes from his throne? Good. Good comes from his throne. Ta'ud. He created them, right? So that word for Adam, when he say man is Adam. It means the first man. He say first. He said the first man. Amazingly, what did it say, manhood? That's what the yod is. It means manhood. Man, right? Adam. But then guess what happens? It says what? Mankind. Human being. Ruddy. How you say ruddy? That is human being. Mankind. Right? Ruddy. So you add up. So you look at Adam, you got the Aleph, right? Because you know that strength, it means to lead 1,000. You got Adam is Aleph. You got the Aleph, Daleth, and me. It means what? Seed planting. That's what the male sex organ does. That's what the yod is. Conception. How you gonna get that? Through a female, feminine. You need the feminine part of it. You can't get rid of the. You got to have masculine and feminine. You know, the world tries to create things and try to make it into whatever they want to make it into. You know, through genetics and experiments, through the fallen, through some Jaza, Osbaal, and all these beings here. How you say? But through other means of conception. But the conception was made through seed, feminine, masculine. Right? Aleph, right? Because there's strength in that. And then you got Daleth. It means door, entranceway, passage, tent door, passageway, exit. It means also portal. All that's a part of it. Because you know the sun travels through the portals. Then you got mean, water, above and below, firmament, fountain, river, and oil. All that takes place. Right? So you add it all up, you got 1. That's the Aleph is 1. The Daleth is 4. The Meme is 40 equals to 45 equals to 9. And then it what? Equals what? Dam. You know what? The Daleth and the Meme equals, you add up, you use the Daleth and the Meme. The Daleth and the Meme means blood. The strength in the blood. But then also, that strength in the blood also represents conception. Because you got blood, you got dam, and you got water right there. That's what happens in conception when you have both male and female together. It produces a child, and when the child comes out of the portal into this world, it creates what? A child. You see blood and water come out, but then you'll see something else come out into this world. That's why you can't get rid of male and female. We talked about last week how the women, you insult. You say, I'm glad I'm not a woman. You can't say that. Because then you insult this. And you know when you insult this, then Yahuwah going to be like, I'm going to give you up. And you don't want that to happen. All you got to do is read Romans chapter 1. It don't matter who you are. You be like, I don't want that to happen to me. This Bereshit chapter 1, 28 through 31. And Yahuwah Elohim baraked them. So he baraked them after that. And Yahuwah Elohim said, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. That's his first thing. That's his first thought. Once he creates something, he wants it to increase. And it says, right. And it says, and have dominion over the fish of the sea. Same thing he repeated. And over the birds of the Shamayim, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And Yahuwah Elohim said, behold, I have given every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the Shamayim, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food, or akla, and it was so. And Yahuwah Elohim saw that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning, because that's how we learn night and dark. At Abyb, you got to see in the dark. Morning, the sixth day. You got to see. Right? And that's what he did, right? So that word for plant is a shell. It means herb, herbage, green plants, to glisten. What word meant to glisten? Near the lamp. Like you had 7 lamps. 7 near on the 7 eyes on the menorah. And it has the 7 eyes with the near. And it means to what? To glisten. To glisten. On the 7 eyes, because you gotta be able to see in the dark. Because if you can't see in the dark, how you gonna watch? Because you gotta be able to see in the dark. You're like, man, I can't really make out what that is. And then guess what it means? What? Herbage, grass, herbs. And people say, what does eating these things do? Improves your eyesight. That's what it does. It improves your eyesight. It improves your eyesight, right? So that word for food is akla. It means food, object, devouring. The word for food is akla, right? Food. You know how people say? Food is akla. It means to devour, to eat. It means meat. So anytime you see meat, it's saying food. What you eat for food. He was saying we eat plants with seeds for food. That's our meat. Right? That's what meat is. When Yahuwah made everything. That was meat. That was what meat was. It says food eating. It's for food eating. Right? This is Exodus 12:1. Tell all the Aydah of Yasharal, the congregation, that on the 10th day of this month, the 10th day, every man shall take a lamb according to their father's house, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for a lamb, then he and his nearest neighbor shall take according to the number of persons, according to that which according to what each can eat, you shall make your count for the lamb. You say, what you gonna eat? But we read in the beginning how Yahuwah made everything. So why is he saying, Yahuwah said in the beginning, eat that, but then now you're seeing people eating animals. But then he says right here, your lamb shall be without blemish, a male a year old. He says, you may take it from the sheep, or you may take it, from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of this month. So keep that in mind. So you got to keep it until the 14th day of the month. So when does the 14th day of the month start? The 13th day at evening. When the sun go down at evening on the 13th day, that's how we learned from the beginning, the first day that we learned it. When the 13th day goes down, he said, you don't need to have that lamb, you need to do something with that lamb. You should only have it until the 14th day, which starts at evening time on the 13th day at evening. He said, you shouldn't have it anymore after that. Now, what it say? And it said, when the whole congregation of Yasharal shall kill their lambs at twilight. He said they got to kill it. Why? Because they have to kill it because it was the 13th day at evening. That's the beginning of the 14th day. Because remember, you got to go evening, then morning to get a complete day. So once the sun comes up, that's like a complete day. That's when you actually, the 14th day is established. And he says, you need to kill it. That's how the days begin. Evening, morning. Then it says right here, Aramaic Targums, Palestinian Targums, speak to all the congregation, the children of Yasharal, saying on the 10th of this month, whose time is appointed for this time occasion and not for the coming generations, they shall take a lamb for a house. Right? So this is a long time ago. Now in Aramaic Targums it says. But if the men of the house are fewer than 10 in number, in portion, to a sufficient number to eat the lamb, they only can be 10 people at one time eating it. Just only 10. He's like, man, you were over that. It says, he and his neighbor who is nearest to his house shall take according to the number of souls, each man according to sufficiency of his eating, shall be counted for the lamb. The lamb shall be perfect, a perfect male. A perfect male. That's what Yod meant. Manhood. It also meant open right hand. It also meant male sex organ, because it got to be a male. That's when we're going to make a determination of what it is. You got to go through the goats and the lambs. You got to make sure that it has what it needs. It has the very fact, they should say, the organs that it's supposed to be there. It says, the son of a year he shall be to you. The son of a year he shall be to you. And it says, from the sheep and from the young goats you may take, and it shall be bound and reserved for you until the 14th. It shall be bound until the 14th day of this month, which means you got to be set aside, you got to be taken and bound and set aside by itself, that you may know to fear the fear of the Mizraim when they see it, and you shall kill him according to the right of all the congregation, the assembly of Yasharal between the sons. Why? Because you only can keep it until the 14th day, which begins on the 13th day at evening time. And you got to do it. That's what they said. That's what it said. They have to do it. And amazingly, when you see this, you say, so how? Why are they doing this? Right, so this is that word for lamb. Take your lamb. That word for lamb is sa. Right? It's sa. Sa. Right? It means one from the flock. It's shun and ha. One from the flock, a sheep, a young sheep, a goat. It means idea of pushing to graze a lamb or sheep, right? That's what it means. So you add up shun is, amazingly, shun equals to 300, and the ha equals to 5, which equals 305, which equals to 8. But then you look at the shun. What does the shun mean? It means devour, teeth. And amazingly, you have to eat this lamb at evening time, and it means you have to devour it, and you have to eat it. Right? That's what they say. You have to eat it. And amazingly, it says that. Shun, you have to eat it. Right? So the word for evening, or you say twilight, is areb. That's the same word we saw in Bereshit, and you have to do what? It has an ayin, and you have to see it. They shall kill their lambs at areb, ayin. Evening tide means night. Also means sunset. Evening, sunset. At night, evening. Evening, morning, evening, morning, evening, morning. Evening, morning, evening, morning, right? All this is part of it. This is Leviticus chapter 23, verse 4. These are the appointed feasts of Yahuwah, the Kudash congregations, which you shall proclaim at the time appointed for them. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, at twilight, is Yahuwah's Pesach. So you start seeing when you look at the 14th day at evening, is Yahuwah's Pesach. Because they got to hurry up and eat it in haste before the 15th day come in. Why? Because that's when the destroyer comes. But there's a difference between the people on the 15th day, and there's a difference between the people who follow Yahushua Mashiach, the ones who do it during this time. There is a difference. But it says, and on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to Yahuwah. So 14th day going, right when the sun get ready to go down, boom, eat it in haste, and then the 15th day it starts. The first day unleavened bread. He said, you cutting it real close. But it said right here, on the 15th day of the same month in the feast of unleavened bread to Yahuwah, for 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, or he say matzah. On the first day, that's when we learn evening, morning. just talked about the first day. You shall have a Qahalath convocation, and you should not do any ordinary work, but you shall present a food offering to Yahuwah for 7 days. On the 7th day is a Qahalath convocation, and you should do no ordinary work. And we learned the 7th day, evening morning, the 6th day at evening, it starts the 7th day. Right, so the 14th day at evening, as the sun goes down toward the first day of unleavened bread, which is the 15th day, starts the first day when the sun goes down, and it is dark, which begins another day. So when we look at when the sun goes down on the 14th day, that's when one's supposed to rest. When the sun get ready to go down, they take Pesach and then they rest. Because they got to kill the lamb. They can't have the lamb until they only can have the lamb until the 14th day, which means the 13th day at evening, and then they had to kill it. Right when the sun went down on the 13th day at evening, they had to come and get that lamb, and they had to take it, and they had to kill it. And the only way you're going to kill it, you had to put it in some fire. And you had to kill it. They had to kill their lamb. And they had to be killed right when the sun went down. On the 13th day at evening, which is the beginning of the 14th day. And when the sun rose on the 14th day, that completed the day, and that the 14th day established, and that lamb had to be slain before the sun went down before the 15th day. But this is Ukinan 129. The next day they saw Yahusha coming toward him, said, "Behold, the Lamb of Yahuwah, which takes away the sin of the world." He said, "Here comes the Lamb right here." But when they came out of Mizraim, that lamb was supposed to take away their sin. No. That Sar was not taking away their sin. Here go the lamb right here. This is he whom I said, after me comes a man who will rank before me. Why? Because he was before me. Because we just saw his throne. Where his throne at? He said, what comes from his throne? He said, man, perpetual light and darkness, matter of fact, everything good comes from his throne and his majesty and all good works. And he said, it's perpetual. And guess what happens? I myself did not know him. He said, I didn't know him. But for this purpose, I came immersing with water, that he might be revealed to Yasharal. And Yuchanan bore witness. I saw the Ruach descend from Shamayim like a dove, and it remained on him. And I myself did not know him. But he who sent me to immerse with water said to me, he on whom you see the Ruach descend and remain, this is he who immerses with the Ruach Chdsh, right? Just like it was in the beginning on the first day. Ruach Marakav al Panim. And it moved on the waters, on top of the waters. Now we jump in water to get immersed. This Ruach moves on top of the water. And guess what it says? And I have seen and I have bore witness that he is the son of Elohim Yahuwah. Right? Now you see this lamb that just came into this world. He said, man, look at this lamb that just came into the world. You know that lamb supposed to take on the 10th day. You know that lamb they're supposed to keep it and holding until the 13th day of evening. Then they gotta slay it before the 15th day come in. Yeah, you know that lamb. He said, this him right here. This is him right here. This is Yuchanan. This is Luke Oriyah 22, 1 through 6. Now the feast of unleavened bread, Chag Matzah, drew near. So just like we are right now, it's the 10th day, and it's drawing near right now. It's coming. Which is called Pesach, and the chief priests and the scribes were seeking how to put him to death. Why? Because he's the Lamb of Yahuwah, who take away the sin of the world. They got to figure out how they're going to trick him into getting put to death. Why? Because he got to be slain on the 13th day at evening, in between the sun before the 15th day. So they needed to find a way to get the lamb, because he needed to put him to death, because they just said you got to kill it. We just read it. And then he said, for they feared the people. They were like, man, we got to kill this lamb. But you know how people are. Don't kill that lamb. It's so innocent. You're going to cut its throat. If people really actually thought about beginning it, and he said, Bereshit chapter 1, verse 29. Back when Yahuwah made everything, when it was good. Are you kind to the animals and the creatures of the earth? That's what you're supposed to be. They supposed to fear you for that reason. They be like, man, you shouldn't do that. And then it says, then Satan entered into Yehuda or Judas, called Iscariot. Now Satan jumped in him just like in the garden. You know how in the garden, like he was pretending to be sincere. He was pretending to be sincere. It was cool in the garden. Satan jumped inside the serpent, pretending to be sincere. Who was the number of the 12? He was with them. He went away and conferred with the chief priests and the officers how he might betray him to them. And they were glad and agreed to give him the money. They were glad. They're like, ooh, we purchased us a lamb. Now he said, I'm going to get you this lamb. I'm going to steal it, and I'm going to give it to you. And you're going to give me some money for this lamb? Because you got to buy a lamb to do that. In order to sacrifice it, he had to buy the lamb. Couldn't be broke. He's like, I'm going to get this lamb. I'm going to bring it to you. You're going to pay me for it. Because he was a dealer. Yehuda was a lamb dealer. He was that person that sold the lamb to get the money. That's it. He was a lamb dealer. So he consented and sought an opportunity to betray him to them in the absence of the crowd. Why? Because he got to take the lamb from the crowd in order to give it. Because think about it. If you have one lamb and everybody around this one lamb, and then you take that one lamb and you kill it, it's like, man, where the lamb at? We played with the lamb, we talked with the lamb. The lamb was jumping around. It was a nice, beautiful lamb, male of a year old. And now where the lamb went? Where the sow went? Think about how people will react. It was perfect without blemish. He said, what happened to the lamb? So he was looking for a way to steal it. Because you know when the thief come? In the nighttime. He was looking for a final way to steal the lamb. Because he a thief. That's what thieves do. They come in the nighttime. You know, in the second, third watch. Because you got to be able to see in the dark. But how can you see in the dark when you sleep? Because you got to have an iron. Right, so this is another writing. This is the narrative of Joseph. Narrative of Joseph, Arimathea. Right, so this is the beg for Yahuwah, the master's body in which also he belongs in case of two robbers. Right, so this is another writing. Right, so that's all it is. It's another writing. It's just putting things and looking at other things. Right, because people, I say, when you get in other things, then you start to understand a little bit things, a little bit more. This chapter 1. It says, I am Yusuf of Arimathea, who begged from Pilate the body of the master Yahusha for burial, and who for this cause was kept close in prison by the murderers and God and Elohim fighting Yahudim, Yahuwah fighting Yahudim, who also keeping the law, the Torah, have by Messiah himself become partakers in tribulation, and having provoked their lawgiver to anger, and not knowing that he was Elohim, crucified him and made himself manifest to those that knew Elohim. It says, in those days in which they condemned the son of Yahuwah to be crucified, 7 days before Mashiach suffered, 2 condemned robbers were sent from Jericho to the prosecutor Pilate, and their case was as follows. Right, so you got 2 robbers, you know, them robbers that were next to him on the totality. And get what it says. The first, his name was Gestus, put travelers to death, murdering them with the sword, and others he exposed naked. Right, so he was a murderer, a killer. Right, and then also it says, and he hung up women by the heels, head down, and cut off their breasts, and drank the blood of infants' limbs. You say, what kind of a person? You saying Yahushua was crucified next to these people? I know we shouldn't be talking. We talked about Benjamin. We talked about the Levite. So we shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is so terrible, right? You see all the stuff we do. It says, never having known Elohim, not obeying the laws, being violent from the beginning, and doing such deeds. He said, man, this person was, look at that person's life. Look at that person love. And then you have right here, and it says, and the case of the other was as follows. His name was Demas, and he was by birth a Galilean, and kept at an inn. He made a tax upon the rich, but was good to the poor. Oh, there we go. He was a little better. I wonder which one you think that was. He said, which one you think that was on the totality? A thief like Tobit, for he buried the bodies of the poor. Which one you think he was? And he set his hand to robbing the multitude of the Yahudim, and stole the law itself in Jerusalem, and stripped naked the daughters of Caiaphas, who was priestess of the sanctuary, and took away from his place the mystery deposits itself, placed by Shalom. Such were his deeds, his doings. Right, so all this took place. Now listen right here. And Yahusha also was taken on the third day before the Pesach in the evening. Yahusha was taken on the third day before Pesach at evening. You say, well, what do you mean on the third day before Pesach? 3 days after you take the lamb, the 10th day, right? So you got 10, this is the 10th day. So 3 days after that, 3 days after this day, 3 days after that, right? 3 days is the 13th day at evening. He said he was taken 3 days before the Pesach at evening. That would be the 13th day at evening time. Because you're only supposed to keep the lamb until when? The 14th day. Because after 3 days from the 10th day is the 13th day. At evening time is the beginning of the 14th day. And then what happens after that? You got to go kill the lamb in between the sun. You got to kill the lamb before the 15th day. But it says right here, and Yahusha was taken on the third day before the Pesach in the evening. He said, why would he say before? Because it was 3 days after the 10th day. Because you look at 3 days, you say, oh, that's 3 days before the Pesach. That means it was happened on the 11th day. Right? That's what it would say. That's what most people would say. But when you look at the Torah and you look at this, you can look at it and you can clearly see when he was taken. You can clearly see it. But if you can't see it, then you don't understand it. He was taken on the 13th day, which is 3 days before the 10th day. We take the lamb. And it says, and Caiaphas and the multitude of Yahudim. It says, and to Caiaphas, he was taken on taken before the Pesach, third day before the Pesach, right? In the evening. So when did they take Pesach? 14th day at evening. So he had to be taken 3 days before that. Well, he said he had to be taken on the 13th day in order for that to happen. But you only get the third day before is because it's the 13th day. And Caiaphas and the multitude of Yahudim, it was not Passover. It says, and to Caiaphas and to the multitude of Yahudim, it was not a Passover, but it was a great mourning to them, right? So you see these translations, all these are all part of their, how you say it? He said the deception of the world. But it says right here, but it was a great mourning to them on the account of the plundering of the sanctuary by the robber, because you had these two robbers came in and stole the Torah, which was Demas. He stole the Torah, and guess what it says? And it says, but it was a great mourning to them on the account of the plundering of the sanctuary by the robber. And they summoned Judas Iscariot and spoke to him, for he was the son of his brother. Right, so you can see right here, it says Yahusha was taken 3 days before the Pesach. Like, you can say 3 days before, or you say that could be the 13th day at evening, and it also could be 3 days before the Pesach when Judas had conspired. We just read it, to take and betray Yahusha, because all this took place before that night. that it came in. But all this all a part of it. Why? Because this is the only way you're going to be able to look at it. If I look at this, if you look at it in a way that's not according to Torah, you're going to look at it in your own mindset. Right? So you can say this is the actual day, the days before. How you say when he was taken, or how you say when they plotted against him on the 10th day. That's what they had to do. They had to plot to get the lamb on the 10th day. Or you can look at the 3rd day before Pesach. I say it's 3 days before Pesach. At evening, he was taken, or at evening he was plotted against to be taken. But it said right here, and they summoned Judas Iscariot and spoke to him, and for he was the son of the brother Caiaphas the priest. He was not a disciple before the face of Yahusha, but all the multitude of Yahudim craftily supported him, that he might follow Yahusha, not that he might be obedient to the miracles done by him, nor that he might confess him, but that he might betray him to them. See, it could be the day before, it could be the days after. It all depends on how you want to look at it. It could be this day, the 10th day, because you had to get a lamb, you got to hold it. But he was seeking out a way to betray him, because on the 10th day, he's supposed to get a lamb. Right? And it says right here, and it says right here, betray him, wishing to catch up some lying word of him. Right? Just like I just said, from the 3rd day before Pesach in the evening time. Right? You could say, oh, that was the 13th day even. And it also could be 3 days. It could be when the sun go down right now. But that would be 3 days before the Pesach. Right? It could be vice versa. And they say, to catch him in some lying word of him. That's what people will do. He said a lie. Giving him gifts for such, it says, giving him gifts for such brave, honest conduct to the amount of a half a shekel of gold each day. And he did this for 2 years with Yahusha, right? 2 years he was with him. So says his disciples call Yahuchanan. They said that's what he said. He did this for 2 years. Everybody trying to figure out how he was able to stay among them and do what he did and not be caught. Right, this is another account. Right, so this is the Apocrypha, Pseudepigrapha, Old Testament. It says 1913. That's when it came out. Apocrypha, Pseudepigrapha, Old Testament. R.H. Charles, right? And it says, chapter 6. On the new month or new moon of the 3rd month, but the new month is just a new moon is a new month of the 3rd month, he went forth from the ark and built an altar on the mountain. And he made atonement for the earth. He did what? He made atonement for the earth. And took a kid and made an atonement by its blood for all the guilt of the earth. The guilt of the earth. And it says, for everything that had been done on it had been destroyed, save those who were in the ark of Noah. And it says, and he placed the fat thereof on the altar. And he took an ox and a goat and a sheep and kids and salt and turtle doves and the young of doves, and placed a burnt sacrifice on the altar, and poured thereon an offering mingled with oil, and sprinkled wine and strewed incense over everything, and caused a goodly savor to arise acceptable to Yahuwah. For he did a sacrifice for the atonement for all the sins on the earth. And then he put it with frankincense. He sprinkled wine and frankincense and oil on it. Matter of fact, he poured it, offering mingled with oil. Right? He took all these things, and he said, and the savor arise and acceptable to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah smelt the goodly savor, and he made a covenant with him that there should not be any more a flood to destroy the earth. That all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest, should never cease. It should never stop. You got what it says? Cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night should not change their order nor cease forever. He said it ain't never gonna stop. He said he made that bereath, that covenant. because he made an atonement for the earth, for the sacrifice that he offered, for the atonement for the earth. And he says, and he took an ox, a goat, a sheep, and a kid, and salt, and turtle doves, and young dove, and placed it for the burnt offering on the altar. Right? That's what Daniel said it. 9:27. He says he gonna confirm his covenant in 1 week, and in the midst of it, he gonna cause the sacrifice and oblation to see. Who was that? We just read. He said, "Behold, the Lamb of Yahuwah who take away the sin of the world, sin of the earth." Who takes away the sin of the earth? Make atonement for all the sins done on the earth. And Yahuwah, and again what it says, verse 5, it says, forever. And you increase ye and multiply upon the earth, and become many upon it, and be a barak upon it. The fear of Yahuwah and the dread of you I will inspire in everything that is on the earth and in the sea. And behold, I have given unto you all beasts, and all winged things, and everything that moves on the earth. And he said, no, he said, I'll give you everything to eat. He said, you can eat everything. And the fish in the waters, and all things for food, as the green herbs. And I have given you all things to eat. So he said, as the green herbs. Because remember, it was only green herbs and yielding fruit. Seed was supposed to be for food. But then now he's like, okay, I'll give you all of it. Right? That's what he did. It used to be just, now at the beginning, when Yahuwah first made man, Adam, when it was good, he gave him that. He gave him green herbs, he gave him the seed-bearing trees for food, and that's what he gave him. And he said, oh, okay. Verse 7 says, but the flesh with the life thereof, with the blood, so flesh with blood, ye shall not eat, for the life of all flesh is in the blood, lest your blood of your lives be required. At the hand of every man and at the hand of every beast will I require the blood of man. He's like, if you start eating, even though I gave you green herbs and plants in the beginning, and then you start eating animals, and then you start eating the blood with the animals and eating it raw and eating all that stuff, he said, you know what? I'm going to require it at your hand. He said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you. You get what he said? Verse 8, whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For he is the image of Elohim, he is the image of Yahuwah, made he man. Right? So you start shedding man's blood, he said you just shed the image and likeness of Yahuwah. You just touch the image and likeness of Yahuwah. Verse 9 says, and you increase ye and multiply on the earth. Verse 10 says, and Nuach and his sons swore that they will not eat any blood that was in any flesh. They swore. You know how you say you swear to Yahuwah? Take his name in vain. You know, people say they be swearing, they be on, and you make those oaths, like Jonathan and Daud, they ain't break that oath either. They didn't. And he made a covenant before Yahuwah Elohim forever. That's like these vows you make, and the covenant that you swear, and the things you say out of your mouth, what you're gonna do. You can't alter it. He said, I don't care. He said, I don't care about your feelings or emotions or what you think. And it says, throughout all your generations of the earth in this month, right? Verse 11 says, and on this account he spake to thee that thou shouldest make a covenant with the children of Yasharal in this month upon the mountain with an oath, and that thou shouldest sprinkle blood upon them because of the words of the covenant, which Yahuwah made with them forever. And this testimony is written concerning you, that you should observe it continually, so that you should not eat on any day any blood of beasts or birds or cattle during all the days of the earth. And all man who eats the blood in beasts or cattle and birds during all the days of the earth, he and his seed shall be rooted out of the land. He's like, I'm gonna root you out, just like a plant in the ground. Right? We read that for a reason. Right? So this is the Bereshit chapter 9, verse 1 through 6. Genesis 9, 1 through 6. And Yahuwah barak Nuach and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth, and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of Shamines, and upon every creeping thing that on the ground, and on the fish of the sea. Why? Because you're going to kill them. You think about it. You start chasing animals and creatures of the earth, and you start hunting them down with spears and knives and fish hooks, and you trying to scoop them out of the earth and stuff. They scared. They are terrified of y'all. You say, why they look so fearful and they be shaking? Because they know you feel ready to devour them. That's why they're so fearful. And the ones that they feel like they're not going to devour them, they befriend you. It's the same thing in the world. Like if you start killing animals and creatures of the earth, you kill somebody, family member or something, they're not going to be looking at you with like kindness and love. They're going to be looking at you trying to kill me. And they're going to be defensive and want to protect themselves. It's the very same thing. And guess what it says? Into your hand they are delivered. He's like, every one of them delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. Right? See, he said everything. Right? And as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. He said, I give you everything, right? But you shall not eat the flesh of its life, that is its blood. And for your life, blood, I will require a reckoning. From every beast, I will require it from the man. From his fellow man, I will require a reckoning for the life of man. Whosoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For Yahuwah made man in his own image. He said, I made Adam in my own image. But all this is all part of transgression. Because being that people transgressed in the beginning, with the fallen and Nephilim, and they were eating flesh and devouring all the acquisitions of men and doing all these things from their offspring, he saw that the very thing that he thought was going to be destroyed continued on. So then he had to make laws based upon. Remember, he didn't ever give him any blood, and he said animals to eat. But then he made a law right here saying, okay, you can eat everything, but you can't eat the blood with it. That's a law. The very same thing when the children of Yashar got Leviticus chapter 11, they had a law based upon the food that they were eating, because the food was getting more corrupted, just like the animals are getting more corrupted today. They're eating things they should not eat. And then you're eating them. Right? All this is all a part of the worsening of the world. It says, evil men and seducers will wax worse and worse. The world will get worse and worse. Why? Because of it. But it says right here, this is Ukanah 6, 52 through 66. The Yahudim then disputed among themselves, saying, how can this man give us flesh to eat? He said, how are you going to do that? So the Yahusha said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat my flesh of the son of Adam and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Now you think about you saying that to them. After you read Bereshit chapter 9 in the pseudepigrapha apocrypha, when he made the covenant with Noah, and you start thinking about what? He's talking about eat my flesh and drink my blood. We just read it. He said you ain't supposed to eat the flesh of the blood and the flesh together. Then you think about that. You say that to the Yahudim right now. And he says, whosoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. So you think about that. You saying that to them, and they're in their mind, they're like, this man crazy. Bereshit chapter 9, Genesis chapter 9. He said life is in the blood. We made a covenant with Noah that none of us would do that. We swore to it. What makes you think we're going to do that now? And now you see why when Yahusha came on the scene, he was a different person in the people's sight. He said, whosoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood abides in me and I in him. He like, that don't make no sense to them. And he said right here, as the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so whoever feeds on me, he also will live because of me. This is the bread which came down from Shamayim. He's like, I'm that bread, that man in the wilderness that came down from Shamayim when y'all were crying about flesh, and y'all wanted to eat flesh so bad. He said, I'm that bread. I'm the Lakam. And he said, the fathers ate and died. He said, your fathers ate and died. Whosoever feeds on this bread will live forever. So he just went through Bereshit chapter 9, and then he just went through, when they were in the wilderness, in the book of Numbers. He just went through both of them. And he said, here I am. I'm trying to cancel out your fleshly desires. Eat my flesh and drink my blood. Eat me. He said, how does man give us flesh? And matter of fact, he said, you know what? I'm going to be that bread too. I'm the bread we came out from Shamayim, and that flesh you wanted in the wilderness, and all that flesh with the blood that Yahuwah gave you in the beginning that you weren't supposed to eat in the first place, but he gave it to you, and he said, don't eat the blood with it. He said, I'm all that. All your cravings, I want you to be, I want to be all of them. And he said, whosoever feeds on me, on this bread will live forever. Yahushua said these things in the congregation synagogues he taught in Capernaum. So they would think he was a liar. He tried to catch him in something he said, man, that's a lie. We just read it in the narrative of Yusuf. He said Judas was there to catch him in a lie, and something he said. This will be a lie in their book. In their mind, that's like, huh? What you think this is? Right, verse 60 says, and when many of the disciples heard it, they said, this is a hard saying. Of course it is, because it's like, you just telling us to go against the Torah. Who can listen to it? We can't listen to that. He's like, we're going to listen to this? It's like the serpent in the garden. But Yahushua, knowing in himself that his disciples were grumbling about this, said to them, do you take offense at this? He's like, do you? Then what if you were to see the son of Adam ascending to where he was before? It is the Ruach that gives life. The flesh is no help at all. The words that I spoke to you are Ruach and life. But there are some of you who do not believe. Why? Because these words are Ruach. See, when you start thinking according to your flesh, your carnal self, that right there is not Ruach. Because you have a Ruach, you have a carnally, fleshly mind. That's not Ruach right there. That's evil. That's raw. That ain't Ruach speaking right now. Just like people think today, that's not Ruach. This ain't Ruach what you saying. And he says, the word that I spoke to you are Ruach in our life. But there are some of you who don't believe. For Yahushua knew from the beginning of those who would not believe this. And people saying, why don't people believe this today? Because Yahuwah already knew from the beginning they won't believe it. And who it was who would betray him. Those are the type of people that are going to betray you. Those who are carnally in mind, who can't receive these type sayings. They will be the ones to betray you. You a sinner, you a liar. That's wrong. You a betrayer. You're saying that things go against the law and the Torah. Because they carnal minded. Because they keep things, they observe things according to the flesh. Verse 65, and he said this, and it says, and he said, this is why I told you that no one can come to me unless it is granted by the Father. He said, that's why he said, nobody can come to me except it's granted by Yahuwah the Father. Because everybody's not going to understand what he just said. He said, why would he say that to me? Eat flesh and blood together? Why would he say he the bread would come down from Shamayim when we wanted flesh in the wilderness? Why would he say that? He said, eat my flesh and drink my blood. We don't do that. But he's saying that's the reason why you don't believe today. Because you so desirous of your fleshly, carnal flesh and blood and eating flesh and doing all your fleshly wants and your carnal desires, you can't perceive this. Verse 66. And after this, many of the disciples turned back and no longer walked with him. You say, what? Now you see why they did. This man talking about the Torah, wrong. He telling us to go against the Torah. That's why people leave. You telling me to go against the Torah. So Yahushua said to the 12, do you want to go away as well? He like, all the other people left. Do you want to go too? You know Judas there, and you know he was like, that lie, even though I don't believe what he's saying anyway, I'm going to sell him out for some money though. Then Simon Cobb answered, Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life, because it's Ruach. Because people don't like the Ruach. When you start explaining over what they do in their carnal ways in their life, you explain, you riding on top of the waters. You on Ruach, on the Ruach, Marakava, all the Pauline, then they get what they do. It's a lie. You can't. That's just making that up. That's what they'll say. And he says, and we have believed and have come to know that you are the Kudash one of Elohim. Yahushua answered them, Did I choose you? The 12. He said, did I pick you? And yet one of you was a Satan. He said, one of y'all sucking on Satan. And he spoke of Judas, the son of Iscariot, for he, one of the 12, was going to betray him, because he already... So you're that guy. On the 10th day, you're the one who's going to get the lamb. You're going to set me up. You're that person. So you know, on the 10th day, you got to get you a lamb. You got to pick you out one. You know how you say? You know how you go to the store? That one. And then you set it aside, away from everybody on the 10th day. That's the one I want. I'll sell them to you. How much you gonna sell them to you? I sell them to you for 30 shekels. I got it set aside already. I already picked it out. 30 shekels. Okay, it's a deal. And you guess what you do? You put your right hand out and you give a shake. And your deeds. And you shake on it. Right? This is the Apocrypha, same book. Right? Apocrypha, Pseudepigrapha, Old Testament, 1913, chapter 6, verse 31. Skip going down. And he commanded thou the children of Yasharal that they should observe the years according to the reckoning, 364 days. With these would he constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb the time from his days, from his feast, for everything will fall out in them according to their testimony. And they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do not neglect, but if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb their seasons and their years, and will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons and the years, and will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances. And all the children of Yasharal will forget, and will not find the path of years, and will forget the new moons, the new months, and the seasons, and the Shabbats, and they will go wrong as to all the orders of the years. For I know from henceforth, and I will declare it unto thee. And it is not of my own devising, for the book of, it says, book of devising, the book of lies written before me. Right? On the heavenly tablets, the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles, after their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons and comes in from the year to year 10 days too soon. He said, it's going to do what? It's going to come in 10 days too soon. Why would he do that? That's why he said, why you got to take a lamb on the 10th day? Right? People saying, why he did that? Because that's how he already purposed for it. And it says, verse 36, for this reason the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day, and they will confound all the days, and the Kudash with the unclean, and the unclean day with the Kudash, and for they will go wrong at the months, and the Shabbats, and the feasts, and the Jubilees. Jubilee is 7 years. Every 7 years. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mightest testify to them. For after thy death the children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new months, new moons, and seasons, Shabbats, and festivals. And they will eat all what? They will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. They're going to eat all things. That's why Yahushua said, eat my flesh and drink my blood. If you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. He's like, this is a hard saying. What are you trying to tell us to do? He was trying to tell him to eat his flesh and drink his blood. He was trying to tell him to eat my debar, eat my words. If you eat my flesh and drink what I say, and you eat these things in your Ruach, man, he's saying that you will have eternal life. If you're not offended by it. But if you're offended by me saying things over the very commands that I gave you, the things that you weren't even supposed to have. Because the things he was talking about were things they weren't even supposed to have. He was going to give us flesh to eat. They complained about that. Here's all the, as I gave you the green herbs, here you go. You can eat all things, just don't eat the blood with the flesh. These are all things that I never gave you. I just gave it to you because you complained about it. Right, this is the Nazarene Act, Truth of the Nazarene 28:1. Gospel of the Nazarenes 28:1-5. And it came to pass one day, as Yahushua had finished his discourse in the place near Tiberias, where there were the 7 wells. Right, we got 7 celestial circles, 7 cogs of Moab. A certain young man brought live rabbits and pigeons that he might have them to eat with his disciples. And Yahushua looked at the young man with compassion and said to him, "You have a good heart," right? You got a good heart, right? Because you wanted to share. And that the Adon master will give you light. I'm going to give you some ore, some light, as it was in the beginning. But do you not know that Yahuwah, creator, in the beginning gave man the fruits of the earth for food, and did not make him lower than the ape, the ox, the horse, and the sheep, that he should kill and eat the flesh and the blood of his fellow creatures? They're going to eat all kinds of flesh and blood with the blood. That's why Yahushua said, "Eat my flesh and drink my blood." Verse 3 says, "Indeed, the Pharisees believed that Messiah commanded such creatures to be slain and offered in sacrifice and eaten, and so do you in the temple. But behold, I have come to light the way back to the law, even the true Torah of Messiah, and put away the blood sacrifices, as in the beginning, even the sacrifices of grains and fruits of the earth." What is he trying to do? "Of that which you offer to the master, of that which you offer to the master in purity, shall you eat. But of that kind which you offer not in purity, you shall not eat." He said, your mind set. Your pure mind. You have to have a pure mind. "For the hour approaches when the sacrifices of the feast and the blood shall cease, and you shall worship in Qahalath with a pure oblation. Let these creatures therefore go free, that they may rejoice and bring no guilt to man." Because you said if you slay the blood, the animal, how you say blood of creatures and earth, like he said the blood of animals in their blood, he says, "I'm going to require at that man." He said, "You're going to bring guilt upon you." Why? Because we kill animals to put our sin on, for our guilt offerings. And you know what happened? The guilt still stayed on us. It still stayed on us. That's why you look in 9:31, he said, "Being that you say you see, your guilt remains," because you think that stuff takes away your guilt. It don't. I'm the one who takes away your guilt. "And the young man set them free, and Yahushua broke their cages and their bonds." So he set them free. Just like why did he set them free? Because of the Jubilees. After the 7th year, when your brother when you sold your land and your plot of your land to your brother, and after 7 years, you're supposed to let him go free. You're supposed to let him free of the debt. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to keep the debt on him. You're supposed to let the woman go free, let the man go free, let the wife go free, let the husband go free. He said, "We give them their debts. Let them go free." God's the Truth of the Nazarenes, Gospel of the Nazarenes 51:6-18. We're not gonna read. I'm gonna skip down. Yahushua said to them, "If Yahuwah were your parent, you would follow the Torah. Neither came I of myself, but Yahuwah sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear the truth. You are of your father, who is a demon, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there was no truth in him. When he spake a lie, he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe it not. And Messiah lifted up, as Messiah lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man, Son of Adam, be lifted up. Whosoever sees, believing, should not perish, but have everlasting life." Why think he was on totality on the cross? And they looked him up and they were sitting there watching him. Because he was just like the serpent in the garden. He said, if you look at this serpent on the stick, guess what? You believe that that's me, then guess what? You will have eternal life. Because the only person going to allow you to see that is Yahuwah himself. you ain't like you, if you don't believe it, guess who's gonna believe that? Who not gonna believe it? Those who are carnal minded, who don't operate according to the Ruach man, the inward man, who don't believe in the inward man. So verse 10 says, which of you convicts me of sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? Because they think he a liar. He that is of Yahuwah hears his words. You therefore hear them not, because you are not of Yahuwah. Verse 11 says, and then they answered and said to him, say we not well that you are a Samaritan and have a demon, Yahusha? Have a demon, right? Yahusha answered, I have not a demon, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me. And I seek not my own kabod, but the kabod of my Yahuwah, which manifests in the Torah. This one alone judges. The certain of the elders and the scribes that from the temple came to him, saying, why do your disciples teach men that it's unlawful to eat flesh of beasts, though they are offered in sacrifice as Mashah ordained? He says, 13, for it is written, Yahuwah said to Noah, the fear and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the field, and every bird of the air, and every fish of the sea. Unto your hand they are delivered. Isn't that what they read? We read in Bereshit 9. He said, that's what's going to happen. Verse 14, and Yahusha said to them, you hypocrites. Well did Yeshayahu speak to you and your forefathers, saying, these people draw near to me with your mouths and honor me with your lips, but their hearts is far from me. Right? Their inward man. For in vain they do worship me, believing the teachings for divine doctrine, the commandments of men, in my name, but satisfy their own lust. Verse 15, as also Yirmiyahu bore witness when he said concerning the blood and sacrifice, I, Yahuwah, commanded none of these things in the day that you came out of Mizraim. You know, people say, he ain't say that in Yirmiyahu chapter 7. He ain't say that. He ain't say that hewn out cisterns that can't hold water. He didn't say that. That's what they say. But it says, but only this I command you, to do righteousness, walk in the ancient paths, be just, love, have mercy, and walk humbly with your Creator. But you did not hearken to me, who in the beginning gave you all manner of seed and fruits of the trees, having been for food and healing of man and beast. And they said, you speak against the law, the Torah. And he said concerning Mashah, indeed I do not speak against them who corrupted law, which was tolerated because of a hardness of heart. But behold, one greater than Mashah is here now. And they angered and took stones to cast at him, and Yahusha passed through the midst and was hidden from violence. Right? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 4, 6 through 8. We're almost finished. Your boasting is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? Because you're pure mind. He says, cleanse out there the old leaven, that you may be new lumps, as you really are unleavened. For Mashiach Yahusha, our Pesach lamb, has been sacrificed. Why did the scribes and Pharisees come at him? Because the way he was answering their questions. But then by the way he was answering their questions, and the way they were coming at him, Yahusha was returning back. Right? David came in a calm and with a good heart like the young man. Yahusha wouldn't have never came to them like he was coming at them after he said something to them. The same way when you read in Yuchanan chapter 7, and when anytime he encountered the scribes, Pharisees, and the elders, and all the people that were trying to, he would come at them the way they came at him. And when he came at him the wrong way, then he came at them the wrong way. He came at them the same way they came at him. And he said right here, verse 9, I wrote to you in my letter not to associate. All right, here we go. He said, Mashiach, our Pesach lamb has been sacrificed. Why? Because he was the lamb that took away the sin of the world. Let us therefore celebrate the festival, because that's what we're supposed to do. That's what, people read it and say, no, we don't need to celebrate the Pesach, the Passover. But it says right here, not with the old leaven, the leaven of malice and evil, because that's the leaven, that's malice and evil. That's what they were doing when Yahusha was on the scene. But with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. Sincere. Right, the man, he brought, it doesn't matter, he brought something, but he was sincere and he had truth in his heart. He was sincere with it. Some people do things and they're not even sincere. I wrote to you in my letter not to associate with sexual immoral people. Not at all meaning the sexual immoral of the world, or the greedy, or the swindlers and idolaters, since then you will have to go out of the world. But now I'm writing to you not to associate with anyone who bears the name of brother or sister, if he or she is guilty of sexual immorality. That's adultery, fornication, greed, that's swindling. Or as an idolater, worshiping idols, a reviler. Right? Saying things, obscene things out of their mouth about someone. It says drunkards. That's somebody who just can't, he has no self-control. Like he's drinking all types of stuff, Hennessy, Heinekens, drinking and guzzling them down, 10, 15 of them. Excess of wine. Or a swindler, that's somebody who tricked people out of money. That's how they pretended when they were in the temple. And they were pretending to take the money from the people and they weren't even using it, they were using it for their own personal gain. He's telling you why you even associating with these people. Why are you even listening to them? You know they are idolatry. And he says, not even to eat with such a one. He said, don't even eat with them. He's talking about the festival. He said, why you eat with them? For what have I to do with, for what have I to do with judging outsiders? He said, why would I judge people who are in the world? Right? Who sexual moral, greed, swindler, sexual moral. Like those people are, he said, they don't know the truth. He said, you know. He said, why would I judge people who are outsiders? They don't know nothing about this. He said, is it not those inside the body whom you are to judge? He said, you. He said, the people inside the body. You know how people say, go from your outer man to your inner man. And amazingly, isn't that what Yahushua told us to do? Go from our outer man to our inner man. And then when you start doing that, you work through the internal work, then you start doing internal work, internal affairs inside of those who are inside the body of Yahushua Mashiach. Go from your outer man to your inner man, and you'll project a better image than you going from you all outer man and no inner man. Look what it says. Yahuwah judges those outside. He said Yahuwah does that. Purge the evil person from among you. Just like you purge your body from all contaminants. Like people eat herbs and fruits and vegetables and purge their body from all contaminants of the inner man and inner body inside of their cells, their liver, their kidneys, their mental faculties, their cranial nerves, and all those things you eat, you ingest and try to purge your body out of. He's saying the same thing. Do the same thing within the body of Mashiach. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself doing things you should not. This is Romans 14, 1 through 12. As for the one who is weak in Amunah, welcome him, but not in quarrel over opinions. That's what people do all the time. One person believes he may eat anything. That's Bereshit chapter 9. He said, I believe I can eat anything. What you talking about? While the weak person eats only vegetables. And he said weak. They say, you weak, man. You eat vegetables. You know what they say. He said, let not the one person who eats despise the one who abstains. He said, why are you despising the person who abstains from eating meat? But eating animal flesh, I'm sorry. And the person who just eat vegetables, who eat the shed, who eat the fruits of the earth and the seeds. You despise that person. Get what it says. Because that person ain't no better than the other person. When they come to Yahushua Mashiach, Yahushua ain't looking at that. Yahushua looking at the heart. Yahuwah looking at the heart. And it said right here, and let not the one who abstains pass judgment on the one who eats. For Elohim has welcomed him. How do you welcome somebody? With your right hand. How did he welcome us with his right hand? By taking a lamb on the 10th day? And he opened his right hand and then he said what? He welcomed us with his right hand. And we received him. And it said right here, Yahuwah has received him. He welcomed him with his right hand. It says, verse 4 says, who are you to pass judgment on another servant, on the servant of another? It is before his own master he stands, or it said, it is before his own master that he stands or falls. And he will be upheld, for Yahuwah is able to make him stand. Right? Why would he say that? because a weak person, because when you just eat vegetables, they're not as strong as, like they say. Right? That word for weak in Greek is astheno. It means to be feeble. He say it means disease, impotent folk, sick, be made weak. Right? Talking about when you're not eating meat, or he say animal flesh, your body becomes ain't as big as a person who does, right? So they say. Right? And it means what? That word for feeble means lacking physical strength. Right? When a person starts eating vegetables, then you start to see their strength. Like, man, I ain't as strong as I used to be. Like, my body is not as, like I say, your flesh is not as gripping on you like it used to be. Right? It means what? Essentially, a person, as a result of age or illness, that's what it says. But using that as it's like, man, you're not as strong as a person who eats everything. You eat everything, your flesh rules over your body. And when you eat everything, you're going to be huge, you're going to be big, you're going to be strong. So they say. Verse 5 says, one person esteems a day as better than the other, right? So that's what we're going to stop, right? Just attempt that. While the other esteems all days alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. That's the whole point. Each person got to be convinced in their own mind. It's not for people saying, oh, that person doesn't know. He said they got to get convinced in their own thought process on what this is all about. And it says, the one who observes the day, observes it to honor of Yahuwah. The one who eats in honor of Yahuwah, since he gives thanks to Elohim. While the one who abstains in honor of Yahuwah, and gives thanks to Elohim. For none of us lives to himself, and none of us dies to himself. For if we live to Yahuwah. And if we die to Yahuwah, right? So then, whether we live or whether we die, we are the masters. Right? We are the masters of the master Yahushua. For it says, for to this end Mashiach died and lived again, that he might be master both of the dead and of the living. Verse 10 says, why do you pass judgment on your brother or sister? Or why do you despise your brother or sister? For we will all stand before the judgment seat of Yahuwah, for it is written, as I live, says the Master, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess to Yahuwah. So then each of us will give an account of himself to Yahuwah. Now this is written 2,500 years ago. 2,000 years ago, right? But at the same time, you see the world transitioning. Like, some people haven't reached that level yet. You start to see this. Like, the person who abstains and the person who doesn't eat, you shouldn't be. That person, he don't do that. And he said, I don't see myself better than you. But one thing I do, he said, lacking physical strength. That's what it says for weak. That's stima, right? Let's see. Right, this is Daniel chapter 1 through 7. In the third year of the reign of King Yehuda, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And Yahuwah gave Jehoiakim, king of Yehuda, into the hands with some of the vessels of the house of Elohim. And he brought them to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he placed the vessels in the treasury. Right, skipping down to verse 4. It says, use without blemish, a good appearance, and skillful in all wisdom. Right, so he says, right, verse 3 says, the king commanded Ashpenaz, his chief and eunuchs, to bring some of the people of Yasharal, both of the royal family and of the nobility, youths without blemish, a good appearance, skillful in all wisdom, endowed with knowledge, understanding, and learning, competent to stand in the king's palace. It means you have skills, understanding, and teach them the literature and language of the Chaldeans. And the king assigned them daily portions of food, that the king ate. So he ate that, and the wine that he drank. Then they were to be educated for 3 years. 3 years they're supposed to be educated. 3 years. Right, when Yahushua started his ministry, he was 30 years old. He was 30 years old when he started his ministry. And amazingly, Judas was with him the whole time. And And at the end of that time, they were to stand before the king. So at the end of 3 years, they're supposed to stand before the king. He said, you're supposed to stand before the king. But amazingly, when Yahushua was taken, and he was standing before Yahuwah, when they had him on the totality, high and lifted above the people, where was everybody else at? They sat down and watched him there. And it said right here, and they said, and among these were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah of the tribe of Yehuda. Right? And the chief of the eunuchs gave them names. Daniel called Belteshazzar, Hananiah, Shadrach, Mishael called Meshach, and Azariah, Abednego. Right? Gave them names. Right? It's continued on. But Daniel resolved that he will not defile himself with the king's food, or with the wine that he drank. Therefore he asked the chief of the eunuchs to allow him not to defile himself. And Yahuwah gave Daniel favor and compassion in the sight of the chief and the eunuchs, because some people eat and some people abstain. Some people believe they can eat all things, but some people abstain. He said, why are you casting judgment on your brother or sister? For Yahuwah has received them. Because some people don't want to defile themselves by eating everything and eating what you eat. And some people abstain. And get what he said. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my master the king, who assigned your food and your drink. Why should he see that you were in a condition that the youths who are of your own age? He said, why should we see you not looking the way you're supposed to be looking? You got to make sure you present yourself right. So the eunuchs had assigned over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. I'm sorry, here we go. Verse 10. And the chief of the eunuchs said to Daniel, I fear my master the king, who assigned your food and your drink. For why should he see that you were in worse condition than the youths who are of your own age? So you would endanger my head with the king. And when Daniel said to the steward, whom the chief of the eunuchs had assigned over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, test your servant 10 days. Test us 10 days. Test us 10 days. When we take the land? The 10th day. Matter of fact, we extend our right hand, our open right hand to it. And guess what? We take it. And you know what that land was supposed to do? It was supposed to cause all the sacrifices and oblations to cease. And all the sacrifice, grain offering, everything that's supposed to stop. And get what it said. Test your servant 10 days, and let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. Some people eat all things. Some people eat vegetables and they weak. Right? They ain't got much physical strength, like they say. Then he said, test us 10 days. And he said, then let our appearance and the appearance of the youths who eat the king's food be observed by you, and deal with your servants according to what you see. So he listened to them in this matter and tested them 10 days. This is the 10th day of the month. Let's see what happened. And it says, at the end of 10 days, it was seen that they were better in appearance and fatter in flesh than all the youths who ate the king's food. Oh, you mean they were not weak in the flesh, in physical strength, and ill. They were not ill and weak in the flesh. As a matter of fact, they were not, looking a certain way. Some people eat all things, some people don't. Some people just eat vegetables. They weak. Not right here. So the steward took away the food and the wine that were to drink, that they were to drink, and gave them vegetables. That's what he says. Why he did that? Go back to Zechariah chapter 8. He said 10 men gonna take hold of one man, even of him that is a Yahudi, and they said, we're gonna go with you. We're gonna do what you do. For we heard that Yahuwah is with you. We see it. He's like, man, you fatter in flesh and appearance. Matter of fact, you look better than the people who eat the king's meat and eat and drinking the wine. He said, we're gonna follow you. And why do you think they said, we know your teacher come from Elohim, for no man can do these miracles except Yahuwah will be with him. Why do you think they say that Nicodemus, he came and told that to Yahushua Mashiach? Verse 17, and as for these 4 youths, Yahuwah gave them learning and skill, and learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding and visions and dreams. Why do you think all the Shalom King had all those? You said, how do he was able to do all of that? That makes absolutely no sense. Because when you start eating a sheb, it caused what? To glisten. Remember we read that? And the sheb means to glisten. Matter of fact, it caused your eyes, your ayin, to be open. And when your ayin becomes open, then guess what happens? Your eyes are light. He said light, and now you can see in the dark. And at the end of time, when the king had commanded that they should be brought in, or you mean to appear, that's what we're getting ready to do right now. And get what he said. And the chief and the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar, and the king spoke with them, and among all of them, none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Why? Because of what they ate. And guess what happened? Therefore they stood before the king, and in every matter of wisdom, Hakmah and Binah, about which the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better. What's it? The 10th month. He found them 10 day of the first month. 10 times better. Then all the magicians and enchanters that were in his kingdom, and Daniel was there until the year of King Cyrus, right? It's Dead Sea Scrolls, column 4, column 5, column 6, 4Q257. These are the paths in the world and enlighten the heart of man. Straighten out in front of him all the paths of true justice, establish in his heart respect for the precepts of Elohim and the ruach of meekness. What? Of patience, generous compassion, eternal goodness, intelligence. And it says, potent wisdom which trusting in all of these Elohim and depends on his abundant mercy. A ruach of knowledge in all plans of action. An enthusiasm of decrees in all plans of action. The decrees of justice and set apart plans with firm purpose and generous compassion with all the sons of truth. Magnificent purity which tests all unclean idols of careful behavior and wisdom concerning everything, concealment and concerning the truth and the mysteries of the knowledge. These are the foundations of the ruach of the sons of truth. And the reward of those who walk in it will be healing, plentiful peace, and long life, fruitful offspring. All these things he told Adam. With all everlasting barak, eternal enjoyment, endless life, chronic abode, and majestic raiment, and eternal light. Let there be order, let there be light. But it said right here, however, the ruach of deceit belongs greed. These are all the things he told Shaul, said, don't even keep company with it. He said, matter of fact, don't you even associate with it. Matter of fact, don't you even eat with it. Sluggishness in the service of justice, wickedness, falsehood, pride, haughtiness of heart, dishonesty, trickery, cruelty, much insecurity. Let us keep the festival, not with the old leaven, but with a new leaven of sincerity and truth. This is all old leaven. Impatience, much foolishness, impotent enthusiasm for appalling acts performed in lustful passion, filthy past, the service of impurity, pure minds, blasphemous tongue, blindness of eyes. He said, yo, 7 eyes and went out. Iron. You can't see in the dark. And you gotta be, there's a time in much watching approaching, and you can't see in the dark. Because your lamp ain't lit. Your 7 eyes, your 7 near ain't lit. Blindness of eye, hardness of hearing, stiffness of neck, hardness of heart, in order to walk in the paths of darkness and evil cunning. He said, you walk in dark, you're evil, you're robbed. Swift to do evil, right? But it says, and the visitation of those who walk in it is abundant affliction of the molecule of destruction. The destroyer is on his way. And we're approaching that time. But not only the destroyer for that day, but also the destroyer for every single day for the rest of your life. Eternal damnation by scorching wrath and Elohim that revenges for permanent terror and shame, without end and humiliation, destruction of the fire of the dark regions. In all the ages of the generations, they shall spend in bitter weeping and harsh evils in the abyss of the darkness until destruction. without there being a remnant or survivor for them. We gotta get through this. Romans 12, 1 through 2. And I appeal to you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of Yahuwah, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. For such sacrifice is pleasing to Yahuwah. Why? You living sacrifice. That's what the Daniel and them did. They said, we're not going to be defiled. Matter of fact, we're going to eat this until the time appointed for us to even see the king. And that's how we got to be with ourselves. Not saying everybody going to do that, because Yahuwah have received them. But at the same time, you want to present your body as pure inwardly and outwardly as you possibly can to present your offering to Yahuwah. Right? And it says right here, Qahalath and acceptable to Yahuwah, which is your spiritual worship. It's of the Ruach. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's why Daniel would not conform to what they were eating and what they were drinking. He was renewing his mind. I remember in the beginning he said we eat vegetables and plants and fruits. Let me have that. That's what he did. That by testing you may discern. That's what he did amidst all of that. That's what you got to do today. He's like, that might not be a good thing for me to do. Being that all this stuff is going on in the world today, it might be more wiser for me to abstain from this. Even though Yahuwah gave you permission to do certain things, it may not be wise for me to do that and go back to how it was in the beginning. Why? Because it's more safer. And Yahuwah will grant you strength with it. But for those who don't do it with a right heart and mind, like, I got to do this, I got to do that. People are like, no, just stay where you are. Continue to do what you're doing. But those who are joyful about it and real joyful about it and want to do it, Yahuwah grants you more fatter skin. You eating all types of plants and herbs and vegetables and fruits, and you be bigger than the people who don't. You ever notice that some people who do that, they just seem like they continue to waste away. They consume all that food and they just continue to waste away. Right? Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of Yahuwah, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Right? This Hanuk 82:4. Barak are the righteous. Barak are those who walk in the way of righteousness and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days in which the sun transgresses the Shamayim, entering and departing from the portals for the 30 days. Right? When we just entered the first 30 days. On the 10th day. With the heads of thousands and orders of the stars, together with the four transitions which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them to the entering them in the 4 days. Only to them men will be at fault, not reckoning them in the whole reckoning of a year. Yea, men should be at fault, and not recognize them accurately, for they belong to the reckoning of a year, and are truly recorded thereon forever. One in the first portal, one in the third portal, one in the fourth portal, and one in the 6th portal. What portal are we in? We're in the first portal. Welcome. You get what it says? And the year is completed 364 days. And the account thereof is accurate, and reckoning of their exact, for the luminaries and the months and the festivals and the years and the days, as Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the Master Adon, the whole creation of the world, has subject the host of Shamayim. And he has power over night and day. He has power over night and day, because that's what comes from his throne, perpetual light and darkness. In the Shamayim, to cause light to be given to men, the Shemash, Yarak, and Kuka, the greater light, lesser light. Gadol Ma'or, right? And all the powers of the Shamayim, which revolve in their circular chariots. They revolve. And they're going to keep moving in their circular chariots. And these are the orders of the stars, which are set in their place, and in their seasons and festivals and months, right? So this is the book of Psalms 104:1. And it says, Baraka Yahuwah, O my soul, Yahuwah, my Elohim, you are very great. You are clothed with splendor and majesty on his throne, you know, his seat. Covering yourself with light as a garment, stretching out the Shamayim like a tent. He lays the beams of his chambers on the waters. You ever seen pillars in the waters? And And then it says, he makes the clouds his chariots, and his circular chariots. He rides on the wings of the wind, of the ruach, right? He makes his messengers wind, and his ministers a flaming fire, right? That word for clouds is It means the word for cloud is Aleph and Bayit. So you got the ayin, and then guess what it is? Guess how you spell You got an ayin. You got a C. You know what it says? See what? See the house. It means cloud. It means darkness, density. It also means an envelope, a cloud, a dark cloud. Dark cloud. He said he rides on the cloud. What comes in dark cloud? Rain. You know, like rain. Nice rain showers with thunder and lightning. That's what he comes on. And it said right here, that word for chariots is raku. Chariot, a vehicle. He said he ride on the raku, the vehicle. He said that's his vehicle. The cloud is his vehicle. The black dark cloud is his vehicle. And guess what it says? It means what? A vehicle, a ridden, a chariot. And you add up raku, it equals to what? You got the rosh is 200, the kaf is 20. The wu is 6, and the bayith is 2. We gives it 228. We gives it 12. He said, what? 12. How many months in a year? How many tribes? Like how many cranial moons you have? How many melanin centers you have? And amazingly, what happens with that? Raku, right? And they say the clouds, the dark clouds are his chariots. And then what it says? He rides, he halaks. So Raku halak. He rides, it means to come and go. He walks. So his clouds, which is his chariots, his Raku, his clouds, which is his chariots, it moves on the wings. Right, that word for wings is kanaf. It moves on the wings, or wings extremity, edge, a wing, a quarter. Because it moves in the celestial, remember, everything moves in the celestial circles. You have quarters, you have 4, 3 months per quarter. And it says what? A flap, a wing. And guess what it says? On the ruach. That's what Yahushua was speaking. You know why you won't believe Yahushua Mashiach? Because he was speaking, he said, these words I speak unto you, they are ruach and they are life. Because there's life in the blood. And you shouldn't eat the blood thereof with this flesh. But he said, eat my flesh and drink my blood, and you'll have life in you. The words I speak unto you are ruach, and they are life. They are life eternal. Right? The word for wind is ruach. Breath, mind, in your mind. The wings of the wind. In your mind, the spirit and breath, ruach and breath. We say, Abarakub kanaf halak ruach. And it rides on the wings of the wind. And when did he do that? All of you can on 2:24. That what you heard from the beginning about you on the first day of creation. Because the words I speak unto you, they are ruach and they are life. Right? He said, this is ruach. You get what it says? That what you heard from the beginning abide in you. And what you heard from the beginning abides in you, because you got to receive it because it's the 10th day, because you got to do it with your right hand. You take a lamb on the 10th day. You got to receive it. You got to attain it. Get what it says? If what you heard from the beginning abides in you, then you too will abide in the Son, the life of the house, and the Father, the strength of the house. Because you know what happens when you abstain vegetables, you get real weak. You have no physical strength. You will abide in the Son, the life of the house, because you ill and you sick, things are wrong with you. And the Father, the strength of the house, He'll give you strength. And this is the promise He has made to us. Eternal life. Because you know why? Because it's life eternal. Because eternal life to know Him. He said, search the scriptures. Search the Torah. Search the writings. Search the alphabets. Search the alphabets. Search all of them, all the way to the end of the 22 letters of the alphabet. Search all the four corners of the 364-day cycle. Search it all. How you say, move upon the wings of the wind by the ruach. Abraku kanafalat ruach, through it all in your mind. And guess what you'll find? Eternal life. It's in there. It's all in there. How you say, it's eternal life to know him. So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the light of life. We look at the 10th day of a month of Abyb. How you say the 10th letter of the alphabet. We look at the open right hand, and he say attainment, and you say taking a male of a year old. Knowing that holding that lamb and holding it aside is setting it aside for a sacrifice to Yahuwah. Even as you present your body as a living sacrifice, even as Yahushua present himself a living sacrifice, we're supposed to present our bodies a living sacrifice, kudash and acceptable, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, or without any blemish. So even as that lamb was taken without blemish and brought and offered, you're that same lamb that's supposed to be offered to Yahuwah as a sweet-smelling savor to him. So we look at Yahushua Mashiach, our Pasach lamb that was offered in sacrifice. But even with all the knowledge and understanding, it goes, there's a lot more to this than what people actually believe and know. And we're going to look at it. But we look at everything that's happening, we look at everything that's going to happen, and everything that Yahuwah has done, and everything he's getting ready to do, and everything he has destroyed, and everything he's brought back to life. So we look at ourselves as being that male and female brought back to life in our inner man and our inner being. And even as he said, he maketh me lie down in green pastures. He lead me beside the still waters. And what? He restores my soul. How you restore a soul? He said, as rain and stones come down from Shamayim soul than the Barbie that goes out of my mouth. But how do you restore a nefash, a soul? He said, you breathe into their mouth, and man become a living nefash again. Why? Because when we look at Yahushua Mashiach, we look at that breath that came down from the Yahuwah's throne in his majestic good news. It was a continual, perpetual sending out of light and darkness. Evening, morning, first day. Evening, morning, second day. Evening, morning, third day. Evening, morning, fourth day. Evening, morning, fifth day. Evening, morning, sixth day. Evening, morning, seventh day. That's what's getting ready to approach now. But as we leave this 10th day, we remember the 10th day, he's supposed to take a lamb for each to his own house. And knowing that the lamb is you. And you need to set yourself aside, prepare yourself to offer to Yahuwah himself. So we look at ourselves, presenting our bodies, living sacrifice. We look at that which is from the beginning. But we look also not to cast judgment on others who will, attain the very same thing, or seeking to attain the very same thing. But we only should judge with things within and not with things without. So we go from our outer man to our inner man, and we search out the inner man, and we purge those things out. Yes, men, he say, at times past, and even in times, he have given partiality and judgment. Yes, things have happened in this life that have made people not feel a certain way towards other people. Yes, people have done things to you in the times past that made you, stagnate in your life and your walk. But at the same time as it goes, it's not over until it's over. Even as people say things are over for you, but it's not over as long as you have breath in your body. So we look at ourselves, we look at our inner man, we look at our inner being, we look at it being righteous like a palm tree planted by the rivers of living water that we may bear fruit in this season. So the righteous like the palm tree. They bend, but they don't break. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.